In this video, I'm going to give you a step-by-step playbook on how to increase your website's traffic. These are the exact same steps we use to increase our clients' traffic by 800% in an extremely difficult niche. Here's a comparison of last month's traffic versus the first month when we started working with the client. 800% gains, don't mind if I do. And check out this exploding growth of the organic keywords on page 1 of Google. My name is Matt Diggity, and I'm an owner of the Search Initiative, an international search engine optimization agency that specializes in cutting-edge SEO. Today, I'm going to open up the book and explain some of our best SEO strategies so you can improve your own website's traffic in turn. Now, before we get started, let's start to take a look at the case study I'll be using to teach you these concepts. Our client is a large life insurance agency in the UK. One of the biggest challenges we faced was finding enough traffic to fulfill our client's goal. You see, most people only search for life insurance once in their life, if that, so the search volume is extremely low in this industry. That said, even with low search volume, each visitor could be a gigantic source of lifetime revenue, no pun intended. The second issue we face is that life insurance is what the industry likes to call a YMYL niche. YMYL stands for Your Money, Your Life. In August 2018, Google introduced a new set of quality rater guidelines. This is a set of guidelines that are given to stay-at-home Google quality control testers. I like to imagine them as an army of moms whose job is to give Google feedback on whether their search results are good or batshit crazy. In these guidelines, they state that if your website could potentially impact a person's happiness, health, financial stability, or safety, then it's a Your Money, Your Life niche and needs to be treated differently. Our client being in the life insurance space, yeah, I think they check off all the boxes. But if we think more about it, wouldn't you say that pretty much every niche affects people's happiness or their money? I mean, almost any niche that you'd want to be in accepts money as the exchange medium. So yeah, to some degree, every niche is YMYL. In this section of the Quality Rater Guidelines, Google says themselves that high quality pages, whether they're YMYL or not, demand a high amount of expertise, authoritativeness, and trust, EAT. So essentially, for all sites in this day and age, you need to focus on building EAT. What actually is it? The E part, expertise, requires your content to be above and beyond typical information that people can find on the subject. A, authority, requires your content to be created by a credible source. But this begs the question, does all health content need to be written by doctors? I'll show you how to get by this soon. And T, trust, requires that content should be factually correct and backed up by external sources. The guidelines on EAT are discouraging to say the least. Supposedly, we need industry expert writers? I'm supposed to expect doctors, lawyers, and scientists to stop doing their actual jobs doctoring, lawyering, and sciencing to come work with me as a writer? Come on. The truth of the matter is that achieving EAT is not as difficult as it seems. Google is an algorithm. It doesn't have the capacity to track down and see if your author graduated from UC Berkeley. It's going to look for other signals in order to figure out EAT. And we're going to go over them and a lot more today. We're about to get into EAT creation indeed, but we're also going to get into a few more essential strategies such as how to get content around critical niche questions to rank easy. And make sure to stick around until the end because we'll also go over an essential link building strategy. Now, if I could ask for an essential favor from you, could you please take 1 second to smash the like button? It's 100% free, helps my channel out a ton, and lets me and the YouTube algorithm know that you want to see more content like this. Thanks. Now let's start to kick things off by tackling this whole issue about EAT. The first step in the process is to build authorship for your website. You want to be clear who is actually writing for your site. Why is it important? Because the Quality Rater Guidelines reference it multiple times. Pay close attention right now because this is absolutely crucial for understanding EAT from Google's perspective. As mentioned before, the algorithm does not have the resources to check on all your authors and their credentials. But what it can easily check for is if there's absolutely zero authorship for your website. Here's what you can do to give Google all the authorship signals possible. If you have a blog section on your site, make sure to include who wrote each article with a byline. Add a short author bio to any informational articles on your website, including evidence of the author's expertise within the subject, such as qualifications, credentials, etc. Add links to their social media profiles. Include a professional portrait, no stock image stuff here. And make sure to include all of this plus contact information on the About page of your website. Another thing the Rater Guidelines check for is how contactable, is that a word? Whatever, how contactable the owners are of a website. Right here in the guidelines, they say that websites that have no contact information should be rated quote-unquote the lowest. And you can bet your buns that checking for contact information is certainly something the Google algorithm can do. Why would they care about that? Well, just think about it. A spammy affiliate website that just exists to make money and not provide any value doesn't want to be bothered with people contacting them. Just look how weak this contact page is at bestpenisenlargementproducts.com. But to be fair, did I expect better than this? Nah. Now, real businesses make getting in touch super easy. Why? Because real businesses don't function without people contacting them. Here's an example of the contact page from my agency, The Search Initiative. Call us, email us, Skype us, we're down for all of it. But it's not just about contact pages. Depending on your site, you might just need to display different types of information. E-commerce websites should display their payment, exchange, and return policies, like in this footer example right here. An affiliate website should include a disclaimer that you're actually an affiliate, especially if you're running Amazon. Next, you want to focus on building a positive reputation for your website. According to Google, a positive reputation is one of the characteristics of high-quality content. Google has its quality raters conduct reputation research. So essentially, what people say about your website online matters. But what does this mean algorithmically? Does the algorithm go searching around for Trustpilot reviews and the like? To be honest, probably not. But it's certainly something they might do in the future if they're not doing it already. Keep an eye on your website's reputation on sites like Trustpilot, Angie's List, and Consumer Reports. The odd negative review isn't going to hurt you, but if you have a majority of 1 to 2 stars, that's going to be a problem. I also highly recommend setting up alert systems to automatically let you know when your brand is being mentioned. For that, my favorites are Google Alerts, which is free, Mention.com, and Brand24. These tools are also super handy for unlinked brand mentions. That's when someone uses your name but doesn't give you a link, like what happened here in this Best SEO Blogs Roundup article. Time to hit this guy up and get him to link to me. Anyhow, if you want to learn more about reputation management, I left a link to a video in the description, so make sure to check it out after you watch this video. Next up on our list of must-dos for establishing EAT is to turn your website into a topical authority in your given niche. Topical authority is all about a website's perceived authority within a particular subject. For example, Warren Buffett would be a topical authority on the subject of finance, and Will Smith would be a topical authority on freaking out. In terms of websites and search engine optimization, topical authority boils down to 2 things: how much you cover a given topic. If you're trying to be an authority on Bitcoin, you can't just publish one article on Bitcoin. You need to cover everything, from blockchain technology to exchanges to DeFi. Second, how well you cover each of these topics. If you write an article on DeFi, it needs to be a spot-on article that is optimized to the gills. Let's go over both of these. The first step in creating topical authority is to generate a topical map. Think of this as a complete set of every topic you need to write about under a given niche in order to become an authority. I've given a few different playbooks on how to generate topical maps in other videos, but here's a fresh approach based on competitor research. To find your main competitors, grab the top-ranking websites for your primary keywords. For example, if you had a website where you review smartphones, you should only include websites that also publish smartphone reviews, and not an e-commerce store selling smartphones. Once you have your list of competitors, use Ahrefs Content Gap tool to find keywords that they're ranking for but you aren't. This will give you a list of all the keywords that you're missing out on. Let's only look at the critical keywords that multiple competitors are covering, not just one. You do this with the intersection filter. Now you can filter by keywords to find out which topic-specific keywords you need to write. For example, if you wanted to create a topical map for smartphones, you'd type smartphones for the filter. If you wanted to filter out all the review content a site wrote, you'd type a word like best or review in the filter. Just remember, when you're writing content for a review website, you can't just write only review content. It needs to be supported by purely informational content, and we'll get to this soon. At this point, you've probably generated hundreds of topics for your map. How do you figure out which topics belong in the same piece of content or separate articles? For example, should the keywords how to buy Bitcoin and how to sell Bitcoin belong in the same article? Keyword Cupid is an awesome tool that will look at actual Google results in order to tell you that answer. Use coupon code Diggity10 to save 10% on Keyword Cupid, and I'll earn a small commission that I promise I'll spend on absolute junk. As before mentioned, it's not just about how much you write, but how well you write it. I have all my content writers produce their content in Surfer. Surfer is a game changer tool that gives you guidance on how to write content that ranks at the top of Google. It does this by reverse engineering your competitors to extract out what exactly got them there in the first place. Next up in the EAT process is to make sure your content is up to date and factually correct. Freshness is a key ranking factor on how Google determines quality content, so don't sleep on it. The Quality Rater Guidelines actually stress this requirement twice. To find outdated content on your site, search site : your website name, and then in title : any previous year. This will bring up posts on your site that are outdated and need a new version. Also make sure that your post last modified schema is updated to be as recent as possible. Now so far, this is a solid 80-20 of what we call content EAT. There's still a lot more you can do with your About page, schema, and Google My Business. I'll make a full video on EAT later on, so make sure to subscribe so you don't miss it. We touched upon this before, but any website in this day and age needs to cover informational keywords. You can't just always write about content that is going to make you money. E-commerce sites should have information on how to use their products, not just buy them. Affiliate sites can't just review protein powders all day long. They should talk about bodybuilding and fitness in general. And local businesses like plumbers should indeed have their service pages, but you'll get much more mileage if you include top of the funnel content like how to unclog a drain when you were too lazy to throw away your breakfast leftovers and thought it would be a good idea just to put the whole damn thing in the sink. What's the best way to figure out what informational queries are best for your niche? Hold my beer.
Okay.
Enter a keyword that users commonly ask about your topic into Google and scroll down to the People Also Ask section. If you click on any of the results, Google will display a short answer to the question along with a list of additional related questions. Repeat the process to go down a deep rabbit hole of informational topics. Or you can use a free tool like SEO Minion to download them all to an Excel file with a single click. Now go down to the bottom of the Google search result page to find the related searches. Add these to your list too. If you have Ahrefs, you can top things off by going to Keyword Explorer and then typing in your made keyword. Make sure to select the right country. Scroll down to the question section and view all. Now feast your eyes on this boatload of topics. You should now have a decent list of FAQs that need to be answered on your site. Now let's figure out where they need to be answered. When it comes to answering informational queries on your site, you have a few options. Your answers can be added to existing articles to enrich them. For example, in your review of a certain blender, you might answer questions about their return policy. Some questions might also require their own standalone article to answer them, such as how to make a high-protein smoothie. And lastly, bunches of little questions might be combined together onto an FAQ page. When it comes to figuring this out, you have a couple options. Option 1 is to use Keyword Cupid, the tool I told you about earlier. Option 2 is to do it manually. This is essentially what Keyword Cupid is doing behind the scenes. Let's look at the keyword how to replace a needle on a record player. All the top ranking articles are individual pages that focus on answering this question and this question alone. If Google says this is what you need to do, then that's what you need to do. Now, it isn't enough just to give the answers to these questions in your content. You want to optimize these answers for Google. Optimizing gives you a chance to end up in the coveted featured snippet spot at the top of Google, shortcutting you past the other hobos fighting for the other spots. The content from the snippet is taken directly from the article itself, and when you click on the snippet, it actually highlights it. What you'll notice is that the length of the snippet is typically just a couple sentences long, and this is because Google wants nice and tidy answers. Good to know. Here's how you optimize your informational answers for snippets. Make them short and easy to understand. Provide a direct answer to the question in only 1 to 2 sentences. Make them NLP friendly. NLP stands for Natural Language Processing, and it's what Google uses with its BERT algorithm to figure out WTF we're actually talking about. To answer in an NLP friendly format, do the following. Let's say we want to answer the question, what are featured snippets? The first thing you do is echo back the question. Then you give your answer. In fact, that's the exact formula which was used to get the featured snippet for this exact question. If you want to learn more about featured snippet optimization, check out my full article on it, link in the description. Now here's where you can start putting some icing on the cake. You can add schema markup, that is special code on your website that tells Google that you're blatantly answering questions. Anything you can do to help make Google's life easier, you get rewarded for it with higher rankings. Schema markup, also known as structured data, is code that allows search engines to understand your content easier. There's schema for everything, from products to recipes to movies. You can get a full list of the various schema at schema.org. Google said themselves that marking up your FAQs with schema makes them, quote, eligible to have a rich result on search and an action on the Google Assistant, which can help your site reach the right users. And when this happens, you get a larger entry on the search engine result page and a higher chance of people clicking on your listing. You can even place monetized links directly in the search result using FAQ schema. Now, implementing FAQ schema is quite easy, but video is not the right place to teach it. Check out my full article in this case study, which goes into a step-by-step process on implementing FAQ schema. Link in the description. Next, it's not an SEO case study until we talk about backlinks. At the Search Initiative, we always run a competitor-based link building strategy. Which backlinks are the best to get to rank for a given niche? Easy. The ones that got your competition to page 1 in the first place. The first thing you want to do in this process is to carry out a link requirement estimation. To do this, you'll need 2 things. Ahrefs, you'll use this to gather backlink information, and the link requirement estimation template. You can download this from the written case study link in the description. First, figure out who your competitors are by entering your own site into Ahrefs Site Explorer and clicking on Organic Search. And then scrolling down, you'll see a list of your top 10 competitors. These are websites that compete for the same keywords as your site. If you don't have Ahrefs, you can also find competitors by just using Google. Just Just search the main keyword you're targeting and make a list of the top sites ranking for that keyword. Rinse and repeat for secondary keywords and you get a good idea of who your main competitors are. Now start to enter your competitors into column A of this template. Also drop them into Ahrefs batch mode analysis. Export the data and you'll paste it right back into the template. After that, your template will look like this. You'll be able to see the average and minimum domain rating you'll need to have, links you'll need to build, keywords you'll rank for, and more. Next, it's time to figure out where you'll be getting your links. For this, you'll be using Ahrefs Link Intersect tool. Plug all your competitors up here at the top and plug in your domain here at the bottom. The idea here is that if a majority of your competition has a backlink from a particular site, it's probably relevant and good enough for you to get one too. These are the most important links you'll want to get. What's next? Now we start the outreach process. At the Search Initiative, we use every white hat technique under the sun in order to land links. There's too many to go over right now, but here's a good one. You're going to do guest post link building, but with the twist. With guest posting, you reach out to websites you want to link from and offer to write content for them for free. But in that content, it's an expectation that you're going to be placing a link to your site. The problem is that 99% of the time, this doesn't work at all. That's because everyone's inboxes are getting spammed 100 times a day with requests like these. Here's how you make it different. You're going to be offering a guest post, that part doesn't change, but you're going to offer writing content that this website should be able to get rankings and traffic for. You're going to offer free SEO to them, and here's how that works. Let's say you wanted to get a link from surferseo.com. According to Ahrefs, here's our competitors. Tossing everyone to the batch analysis tool, we can see that Surfer has a domain rating of 75 and all these less DR, meaning that they have less link authority than Surfer. We'll take a special look at SEO Scout, Demand Jump, and Brainwork because they also have decent traffic. Now we use the content gap tool to figure out which topics these other low authority sites rank for, but Surfer doesn't. And bam, here's 1,763 keywords that Surfer's competition ranks for, but Surfer hasn't gotten to yet. Now it's just a matter of reaching out to them, telling them what you discovered, and offering to write it for them for free. If you want to see the full email script for this pitch, check out my video on guest posting on steroids. By applying a steady link building campaign, we built our client's own domain authority to 41 in short time. The number of keywords in the top 10 of Google grew from 35 to 353, an increase of over 900%. And most importantly, their traffic increased 800% on the button, resulting in some transformative gains for their business. If you're interested in us taking a look at your website and seeing what we can do for you, head over to thesearchinitiative.com and reach out using the form at the bottom.